Hi everyone. Impromptu live here. I was gonna make a video just rambling. And I thought, why not? If I'm gonna ramble, I might as well just come on live, see if anybody's here, wants to talk. Basically, I have kind of been engrossed in all this Charlie Kirk and the Charlotte subway attack event info. But at the same time, kind of bored of it. Um, if you're here, say hi. Um, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because it's prevalent everywhere. I know I posted something about it in the community post asking what you thought of the Charlie Kirk event. And hello, Adam's Well Trodden Pathways. Hello. And so yeah, I wanted to know what you thought about it. What's going on with you? Are you seeing it everywhere? What is your opinion on it? Not just the Charlie Kirk stuff, but also the subway attack event. Because here's what I'm seeing. And I haven't been deep into this. I'm not decoding any of them. I just want to talk about it. So what I'm noticing is a link between several things here. The first thing is the Charlotte subway attack, which happened, I believe, August 22nd. I didn't hear a peep about it until the Charlie Kirk thing. And so these two things are connected. The subway attack was something that Charlie Kirk talked about before he was shot. And so people are linking it together. He was saying that it was racially motivated, I believe. This is what he was saying. And the if you're here, say hi. Let me know you're here. So that happened. Then the Charlie Kirk thing happened on the 10th, right? September 10th. So that's the day before September 11th, which we all know is 9/11, IXXI. Now, like I said, I'm not decoding, but whatever comes up, comes up. And then there's also a connection to the Charlie Hebdo event that happened in 2015. So, I find this odd because a lot of people are now saying like je suis Charlie, I am Charlie, we are Charlie, we're all Charlie. And Charlie means free man. So what this is about is ascension. This is all about the awakening, obviously, because being the free man is what we're aspiring to, what we're working towards, what this is all about. And so this mantra of je suis Charlie or I am Charlie is to remind you of who you really are. And a lot of people now on online, I saw a couple of tweets and like TikToks of people, especially young people who have been afraid to speak out before, are now speaking out because of the the polarities, the dichotomies, of the split opinions in the media of you're not allowed to say such and such due to the last 4 years that America has had politically, causing a lot of suppression over vocalizing your opinions. But we don't do that here. We say what we need to say. But it has been freed up since Trump and Elon and all of those people for this reason, right? Christian Thomas, hello. I still haven't made my mind up about Kirk was taken in by the huge volume of blood, which I thought was beyond what any tech would do, but it's riddled with the normal hoax giveaways. Well, let's talk about that because the thing about it is, I really that whether it's real or not is not really important ultimately, but it kind of is. I understand why it is because I've gone through that phase, and to me everything's fake. So but the reason why I say that it's not you don't need to figure out all the details, is my point, because everything is metaphysical anyway. But the what it appears to be is a Hollywood production, having worked on film sets and everything. It looks like the shirt had something underneath it that activated to like a squib. And it's possible that his neck was a prosthetic that was rigged to spurt blood. Now, a lot of other people have a lot of other opinions. There's some CGI possibilities, AI possibilities, all of those possibilities. But what I don't think it is authentic. But that's just my opinion. But that's not really why I want to talk about this stuff anyway. So the whole situation is designed to, first of all, draw your attention. And if you're in the conspiracy camp of, well, it's a psyop, false flag, all that sort of stuff, irrelevant. It doesn't matter. The whole point is that it is designed to draw your attention for your benefit, for your ascension, for your awakening. So yeah, it's fine and everything if you want to get into all of that, because for your own beliefs, for understanding what's really going on, for breaking the spell, in that sense, it's important. I get it. When you when you're past that point and you don't need to do that anymore because you understand the nature of reality, it becomes irrelevant. So don't get upset if I say that it's irrelevant. If you're there, it's totally fine. If you need to figure it out, then figure it out. But from where I'm sitting, I don't need to know. I kind of like looking at it to figure out what's going on for a little while. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not that important. It doesn't really determine, from my perspective, anything. I'm just looking at it to figure out what is going on. Why are they doing this? What does this say in the play? What are they trying to do? And what is happening here? What is the reason for the attention grab? So from my perspective so far, and I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, I can see that it's all about your awakening. It's trying to draw your attention to what is happening, because the fact that they posted this online up close, not like there's one shot of it from far away that you can't really see very much. Again, the foggy photo style video. And then there's later on I noticed, so I don't know how quickly they came out, but later on I noticed there were some close-up shots of what happened from multiple angles, showing the actual thing, which is for a lot of people very traumatizing, very upsetting, because they agree with what they see. And I can understand that, which I find shocking that they actually showed it. We're on a platform that's highly censored. I mean, you can't talk about so many things on this platform, and yet they're going to show that. Why all of a sudden is that okay? Same with like the subway incident. Yeah, Charlie Kirk died wearing a freedom shirt, and the last words that he said was violence. So, it seemed like it was a cue, and having a shirt that says freedom, and Charlie means free man. So, everything about it is about your awakening. It's designed to wake you up, to see what's going on here. And some people are seeing it, most people are not. Most people are still sleeping. But yeah, like the subway thing too. And these two events being connected for a reason. And then on top of that, you have this question over Donald Trump making a statement about the Charlie Kirk incident. Some people are saying that it's AI. It possibly could be. I haven't studied it close enough, but I've seen the glitch that everyone's talking about. And so why would the president's office release a video statement from the president as AI? And this comes on the heels of his disappearance for a few days and people making a big deal out of it, saying he's dead. And then, the bruise on the hand and the whole, like, him golfing and being seen golfing, and then people saying that's not him. So there's a lot of this, like, speculation as to what's really going on. There's a lot of attention being drawn to these events. They're all connected, and they're all connected to wake you up. So I find it shocking, like I was saying about the whole releasing this on the internet, but also this morning I saw on YouTube that Megyn Kelly and a couple other people now have released the full footage of the subway attack. But Megyn Kelly, like, she had a part of it blurred out. Now, I also saw her reaction to Charlie Kirk, and she basically, okay, this is what I saw. She announced in real time, as she heard about it, she announced that Charlie Kirk had died, and she's, in that camp, right? So I don't know if she knows him personally or what, but she was upset. Well, at least she was trying to convey that she was upset, because it didn't look like she was actually shedding any tears. It looked like she was kind of, pretty crying, which is, if somebody I knew who was, I've had that situation happen to me, and I could not speak for 3 days. So, it's traumatizing, but hey, I don't know what, everybody's different. But she responded as if it was not really real. She said, if this footage is real, then there's no way that he would have survived. So, I mean, I'm not quoting her, but she did say, if this footage is real. So why would she say that? Why would she say, if this footage is real? It's like she's planting a seed. So the guy next to her that was there at the time, he was also kind of fake crying. I don't know who he was, but, like, I get it. You're on, like, live YouTube TV, and maybe some people feel that they need to show some emotion and they're not very good at doing that on command or whatever. And so they don't know what to do. That could be a factor as well. But, and then there's also the response from Joe Rogan, who found out, I think it was in real time, was talking about it while he was talking to Charlie Sheen. And that was a weird interaction as well, but whatever. So anyway, like, what are your thoughts on what this is about? What are you seeing? Because I'm also seeing with the subway attack that there's a lot of focus on the lack of response from other passengers, and particularly regarding the fact that the other passengers were Black. She was white. She was the only white person there. And the attacker was Black. And so now they're saying that this is the end of Black privilege. And they're bringing up also BLM, and they're bringing up George Floyd. And like, they're bringing up a lot of things to antagonize people, to provoke people into some kind of action here. And so she was sitting on the subway and nobody tried to help her. And So the way that the footage what the footage shows, there's no denying that that man, attacked her. This is footage, right? So it seems odd to me, but this sort of stuff, this isn't the first time that footage of this sort of thing has been released. But also, how reliable is footage these days with AI? I mean, how long have they had AI? So, what exactly are we seeing here? So, this sort of thing, uh, with people not responding, not trying to help, is becoming a societal issue. There's also been a call for more security on subway systems. Hello, Joyful. Hi. Caught you as I'm driving to work. Oh, glad to see you here. Um, but yeah, there's also this situation of people who are uh outraged of the racial situation. Even a lot of people in the Black community are saying enough already. There's an attack on the white community. We got to stop this. And people are speaking out. So there's a lot of rage, a lot of opinions and polarization and call for action, whether it's speaking out, whether it's standing up, whether it's doing the right thing, whatever the case may be. This as well as Charlie Kirk is pushing people in that direction. And we all know that the machine or the system or whatever you want to call it likes to instigate division, action, controlling you to do something, whether you want to do it or not, outrage. So just bear that in mind. If it compels you to do something, you got to do what's right for you. But do you want to do it because you want to do it, or do you want to do it because you're told to do it by somebody online? Like, it's all a play, remember. So you got to do what's right for you. And engaging in this when it's not happening to you directly is a choice. It's your choice, but it's not happening to you directly. If it's happening to you directly in front of you and it has to do with you, then yeah, you got to take action in the right way that serves you in the most positive, non-destructive way possible. But are you responding to something that you saw on television that has nothing to do with you? And a lot of times these events are, people will see them and they get all upset. It has nothing to do with you, doesn't directly affect you. And yet they are traumatized, they're upset, they're angry, they start acting that way. They respond even in their own community in a certain way. So they'll take what they see, and then when they go out in public, they are behaving as a result of what they saw. So if you're now afraid, you're going to act afraid. There's a video of this one young woman sitting on the subway saying, "This is how I sit on the subway now," with her back against the wall, her feet up, so no one can sit next to her. And, you know, just as a personal thing, there was one time I was on the subway in Toronto when I lived in Toronto. I was on a subway. I've had a few incidences where it was pretty dangerous. I was on the subway and this kid starts spray painting the windows while we're moving. And I was the only one who said anything, of course. I was so fed up. And I said, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, you're damaging public property." And he's like, "I don't care." And then I get off the subway and he gets off as well. And I'm like, get get the fuck out of here. And I was like, basically telling him off, and there were people on the subway, and I was like, "Why are you not saying anything?" They just sat there like nothing was happening. So I don't think that it's out of range of possibility that something like this would happen and nobody would do anything, because most people have the attitude of, not my responsibility. It's not happening to me. Not my responsibility. And I'm talking about something that's happening in front of you where you have the capability of helping somebody, or, you know, stopping something, somebody getting hurt, not something that's happening remotely that has nothing to do with you. But another time I was standing on the platform and this man comes by and he starts leering at me and he looks down my shirt, and I was like, "Get the hell away from me." And so this security guard comes by and I told her, and she went after him, told him, "Get lost." I was like, "You have to speak up. You have to say something. Otherwise, these people are going to, you know, do horrible things." But hello, we got some comments here. The subway event was a failed ascension. She had her headphones on, spirit not aware of physical, free man, freedom without responsibility, throat chakra attack in both situations, speaking your truth. Yeah, she didn't say anything. Yeah. Thanks for decoding it, by the way. I appreciate that. I was too busy doing other things, but I was just consuming this stuff and observing, and I wasn't going to decode it, but I'm glad somebody has. Charlie Kirk, Watchman Church, he had a Kevlar vest on, heart protected. They say it ricocheted off that to his neck. Well, could be, but who knows? I mean, there's a lot of questionable footage, but yeah. I mean, they're saying that the popular opinion is that they took him out for speaking up. And obviously, there's a lot of contradictory opinions from the left. Some people who are laughing, saying he had it coming. I mean, I don't know how anybody can say that about any human being, which makes me think that maybe they're just bots who are saying this stuff to stir up trouble, but it could be real people. I mean, some people, they do think this way. But yeah, like the whole idea that that he was taken out because of him speaking up, I don't really agree with that. I don't agree with that in terms of anybody, because my opinion on people who are allegedly taken out for speaking the truth is that it is a production to make you believe that, because that prevents you then from speaking the truth. So if someone like this is taken out for speaking the truth, then what's happened is people are now saying, whether it's organic or not, I don't think it is, because nothing here is really organic in this sense, like on the stage anyway. The movement of people saying that they are now Charlie, I don't think is organic. And I think it is designed to encourage people to speak out. And in speaking out, we have an increase in the number of people who are looking at these events and noticing issues with these events and doing investigative work, internet sleuthing, for this reason, to wake you up. So if we're getting a call for people to speak out, for people to investigate, for people to, like, there was one guy on Twitter who was saying that the Charlie Kirk situation was not as it appeared to be, and he has every right to question everything, and he was showing evidence and whatnot. Every comment underneath, I mean, it had 1,000 such likes and it had 600 something retweets. However, all the comments were calling him crazy. And I think there was one comment that said, there's nothing wrong with him questioning the narrative. We have a right to question the narrative, and you calling him crazy for it is absurd. If he wants to question it, that's his right, and it should be fine. So we have a lot more of those sorts of people questioning the narrative and showing the hiccups, the flaws, the glitches, the, absurdities, because they need to poke holes in the narrative, in the story, in the reality, to wake people up. So, this is all part of it. It's all part of it. CK was a mirror for people. This shattered the illusion and broke the spell from so many people. Can you elaborate on that, Joyful? Because I want to know specifically what you mean by what illusion and what spell. Because I find too, like, a lot of people are disillusioned with America right now because this young woman, another one of the stories that's being put out there, the woman on the subway, going on the subway, coming from the Ukraine, which is another story that they're pulling into all of this. So they got the Ukraine, September 11th, Charlie Hebdo, Charlie Kirk, the subway incident. Like, all of these events are all being tied together. Oh, George Floyd, which is another one. They're all being roped in together. And this is not just coincidence. It's not just happenstance. They're doing it on purpose. So you have this woman from the Ukraine who's a refugee, comes to America. She's also this beautiful young 20-something girl, 23. And she is killed on the subway in America, where the illusion or the impression that America gives the world is that it's a wonderful place to be. And yet here we have stuff like this happening, allegedly. So why would you want to come to America? Why would you want to live there? If this sort of thing is happening, it doesn't make sense, right? And then you've got Charlie Kirk as well. And so, people around the world are looking at this and saying, what is going on over there? You got school shootings. I mean, there was one or two school shootings recently that happened in the United States on top of all of this. And, Canada is not exempt. There's stuff happening here too. Almost every day there's some kind of violent thing happening, but people are seeing this all around the world, saying, what's happening over there? Why is this going on in America? It's supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave. And yet every day there's some kind of lunacy like this being broadcast all around the world. And so you've got this story of this young, beautiful woman seeking refuge in this country, in America, and this happens to her. So is anywhere safe? Like, the fear is an illusion. The fear is an illusion. It's like a lot of people get caught up in stories like this, and they think that it's real. I mean, it's as real as you believe it to be. And they get caught up in the fear. And when you tell them that the fear is an illusion, they look at this stuff, they point to it, and they say, but what about this? What about this? This is part of the story, the part of the 911 trauma center we live in, but it's here to wake you up, because it's here to wake you up to your true nature, because most of us look at that and say, well, I would never do that. I would never do that. So why is this in your reality? Why is this happening? Why are you privy to it? Why are you seeing it everywhere? Mostly on the news. Mostly on the news. Do you see this in your own life? And everyday, regular life, do you see this stuff? I mentioned a couple of incidents that I had in the subway in Toronto a few years ago, but that's as bad as it got. So, it's kind of scary, but it's not like the whole thing is an illusion. So, oh, there's some comments here. Um, the basic feeling is enough. Yes, I've seen that too. It's like we all have been empaths trapped by narcissists and have finally seen what is really going on. Yes, I agree with you on that one too. Um, and the narcissist kind of being a personification of the ego, and the empath being a personification of the light within. The subway event was the east-west train on the blue line. Oh, okay. She's Lynx. Lynx is like Lincoln or Lucky Lucifer. She escaped violence to peace, only to find violence at the hand of a man freed 14 times, and no one said anything. Yeah. Hello, Zop. Good to see you again, too. Her story was ignored by the media until people on Twitter make it come to light. Yeah, I heard that too. Like, that's also by design. Like, there's not much I can find about it. I mean, there's people like Megyn Kelly talking about it, and a lot of the mainstream alternative media is talking about it. Oh, this is definitely a turning point. I agree. Yeah. A turning point for sure. Where do you think this is going? What direction do you think it's going, Joyful? Hello, Nana. I thought Charlie Sheen died, and he's recently on the news feeds MSN. I thought he OD'd after the show ended, maybe a Mandela effect. No, he didn't die, but he, had some upset shortly after his show, but he didn't die. But yeah, I agree. I think that this is a turning point in awareness from my perspective. I think this is a turning point in, what the observed reality, what you see as these events and what they actually are. And so it'll be interesting to see how people respond to this, the action that they take. I like the fact that people are now speaking out, because we need people to speak out. We need people to say things, because not saying anything has caused a lot of problems. I mean, look at 2020. So speaking of which, recently I was speaking with a police officer from the local area who was angered by what happened in 2020. And he was kind of making it his mission to talk to people about it. And specifically, he was talking about the result of 2020, not the cause, if you get my drift. And he was going around telling people that he didn't take it, and finding out a lot of people didn't take it. And people were angry about how they were treated as a result. And so he's made it his mission to start talking to people, which is why he was talking to me about it. And he also mentioned about Ottawa, which I found fascinating, because I wanted to know what he knew about Ottawa. I mean, I know what I know, but what did he know about Ottawa? And he said he had spoken to police officers in Ottawa about the trucker convoy, and he said that they were mad because what was on the media was a complete lie, and they were speaking to truckers and everyone was peaceful. They were in the hotel rooms, everyone was peaceful, there was nothing going on. And of course we saw that because we were watching it on the internet, but that's what he told me. And they were furious about the way the government treated people, and they were furious about their portrayal in the media of the police officers. And I specifically asked him about the trampled lady. I said, "What do you think of the trampled lady?" And he says, "Well, I didn't see it. I saw the footage." And then he said something to the effect of, "I think it's fake," but then he caught himself because, for people to say that outright is a little bit putting yourself on the line. If you don't know who you're talking to, and be a perfect stranger, he doesn't know who he's talking to. And then he's like, well, there are people who get paid to disrupt events like this, and they set up some kind of play acting to catch it on camera and get it to the media, or get the media to catch it to cause a disturbance to further their own cause. And I said, yes, I'm well aware of that. And so it was interesting to hear his perspective from his position. And so like, people are angry. And I also asked him, well, knowing what you now know about that time, what is your perspective on the world today? And he's like, well, I don't believe anything. I don't believe the media and I don't believe the government. But he hasn't, like, he says, I don't call myself a conspiracy theorist. And I said, well, it's a badge of honor if you do. And he's like, well, I don't believe any of it, but he has not like crossed the line yet. And that's fine, but people they're starting to wake up, and they're starting to get angry. And, what if it comes out that all of this stuff is just a show? How are people going to react to that if they're not already aware? I know how I felt when I when I found out. I did not take it well. It was a frightening proposition to accept. And that's why it's difficult for people to wake up. Like, as I was showing in my video, They Live, when you're trying to wake somebody up, they don't want to hear it. They don't even want to look at it, and they will fight you to the nail to not hear it. People are speaking out against the mainstream, the extremists, a lot of eyes open and speaking out. Yeah. Zop, I wonder where Charlie Kirk is now, like the rest of these characters on the world stage. With John Galt. Who's John Galt? I don't know who that is. Charlie was known for inviting open dialogue. Someone said they tried to kill the First Amendment. Oh, it's interesting. Well, they've been trying to do that for a long time, haven't they? I mean, here's the thing. They're trying to kill the First Amendment with the Second Amendment. And the First Amendment is the right to free speech. But, like, it's free speech against authority that is trying to silence you or do wrong. And if these events are designed to cause you to rise up, like we have seen already, Je suis Charlie, I am Charlie, and people are now speaking up, and they're now speaking, whereas before they were suppressed. And it's like, what better way to get people to speak up than to silence them? Because you get silenced for too long and you can't take it anymore. And when you're suppressed, you feel that you have to compensate. So the pendulum swings the opposite way. And so all of these people who haven't said anything, like the police officer who is now speaking out, who is now going around talking openly to people fearlessly, who was silenced at the time, wasn't allowed to say anything. You speak out, your job is on the line. You speak out, you might be ostracized. You don't know who else is on your side. Most people, you believe by the media, are on a certain side. So you don't say anything. And so now people are like, well, forget it, I'm going to speak. And another thing that has been silencing people is job opportunities, because these employers will check your social media profile, and then if they don't like what they see, they won't hire you. And over the last 4 years, most corporations have, been bought and sold, bought by the World Economic Forum and, that whole crew to believe in wokeism. And so if you don't align with their values, they don't want you there because you're going to be a disruptor. And they'll call it like fitting into the culture. But that's really all it is like, oh, you don't align to our values. We don't accept intolerance of any kind. You can't speak out. You can't be MAGA. You can't be a Trump supporter. You have to believe in, all the stuff that we believe in, which is absurd because like, where did this come from? Before you were hired because you could do the job, not because of your political beliefs, not because of your religious beliefs, So this guise of tolerance has turned into intolerance. It's like, no, you have to believe everything that we believe, which we call we call tolerance, but it's not. And so a lot of people now are like, well, forget it. I'm just going to be authentic. This is where it's driving to, right? It's pushing you to be authentic, be yourself, say what you got to say, stand your truth, like Irina on the subway, silenced, not allowed to speak, not allowed to say anything, throat chakra. It's like, you got to speak your truth because that's what makes you authentic, because as you speak, you are. I am Charlie. I am the free man. What you say I am, you are. So if you don't speak, who are you? How do you stand in your truth? The Pharaoh is when you speak your truth, you speak from God. What you say you are, you are. I am that I am. So we got some more comments. We shouldn't forget that Je suis Charlie quickly became Je suis I did it, Christian. Can you elaborate on that? Because I don't remember that. Like the Charlie Hebdo thing was before I had a channel or anything, before my truth days, but I do remember the event. I remember also reflecting back on it once I got into this truth stuff and seeing the event for what it really was. People jumping out of the nightclub windows and such, and also like was it nightclub windows or stuff like that? And then there was like the Charlie Hebdo stuff was around the same time. Charlie was a lone voice encouraging honest discourse and listening to each other that now will become a chorus, especially for Gen Z. There's been a kind of flip intolerance now of the lies, hypocrisy, and of being suppressed. Yeah, which is important. It's important because your authenticity matters. It's like if you're silenced and you're told that you can't say such things, you can't be such things. Okay, so back in 2020, right, we were silenced and we were told that we had to fall in line, otherwise we were ostracized from society. And me personally, I did not fall in line at all, and it was not easy. And I know many of you did not fall in line either. And for anybody who went against the grain, kudos to you, because it required some serious chutzpah to stand your ground while everybody else did the same thing. And you stood in your truth and you did what you needed to do for you. The consequences be damned. And so that whole experience that we had in 2020 was a training ground. And we've been going through a training ground ever since. And like everything here is a training ground. But it was challenging you to choose. Who are you? Who do you say you are? What path are you going to choose? Are you going to choose the easy path and do what you're told? Are you going to be a puppet? Are you going to allow people to dictate who you are and what you can do because you're a slave to your job? Because you're a slave to your identity? Because you can't afford to lose your job? You can't afford to lose your home? You can't afford to stop doing the things that you like doing? You want so bad to go out to eat for dinner that you're willing to compromise your values and do as they say when you don't agree with it. It's like, if you stood your ground and said, well, I'm not doing that, this is wrong, I don't agree with it, and you didn't do it, and you said, it's more important to me that I stand my ground and I follow my values than I compromise my values and I do as they say. I want to do as I say. So that's a training ground to get you out of the program, out of the system, to choose yourself, to invest in yourself, to recognize that you have autonomy and you have power, and then to see the results of that power, because most people bought into the narrative and did what they were told. But when you stood in your ground and you did not, they bend over backwards to accommodate you. The world bent over backwards. And most people were afraid that, well, if I do that, then there's going to be these consequences. It's like, no, you just make the decision that this is what I'm doing, and I'm not going to do that. And then the world carved a pathway for you. And sure, maybe there were things that you had to give up. Maybe there were things that you had to compromise and you had to let go of. You had to lose friends. You had to lose family members. You had to lose jobs. But that's part of the decision. That's part of the path. And it's not easy. No one said it would be easy. But if you're choosing yourself, you're going to be okay. 2020 was crucial. I knew it was a life or death situation, or even worse than death. Bomb. In what way? Would you elaborate? I'd love to know. Christian, Charlie Hebdo was supposedly the consequence of them doing a cartoon of Muhammad. I should have a JPEG somewhere of the modified Je suis Charlie poster. It was actually the same typeface and look. Oh, yeah. Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, there was also a nightclub incident around that time. Same sort of thing. Not the same sort of event, but around that time. I'm getting those mixed up. But anyway, so like the whole 2020 thing was a challenge for you to pick a position. What are you going to do? Who are you going to be? What's important to you? The thingamajigger installs something in your body. They even had it on their official website, an operating system, no joke or science fiction. Oh, that was the other thing that the cop told me. He spoke to a nurse and asked what she saw, and he explained that she said that they saw some really weird stuff because they were doing blood work and stuff, but he was kind of vague about it. The only thing he said is that he saw something like barcodes, but I don't understand what he meant by barcodes. I remember dead bodies supposedly had a Wi-Fi signal in the graveyard. What? What? Yeah, kind of heard something about that too. Not that specifically, but about the Wi-Fi stuff, about making humans into Wi-Fi signals so that internet can be everywhere. That's weird. Not even talking about the side effects. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another issue for sure. But yeah, like a lot of people stood the ground on that and did not take it, didn't do that. And that took a lot of courage. It's like, well, what's important to you? And now it's not like a lot of people are very angry about it. So, well, yeah. So there's a lot of, I haven't researched anything to do with that since, so I don't know what it was all about. Okay. Well, anyway, the fact is like all of this is, oh yeah, I know. I agree. Well, yeah, for sure. Like, whole thing. I mean, I had multiple videos up about it. I took them all down because my channel was getting strikes and stuff. So, but I had multiple videos up about 2020 um, for what it actually was. Yeah, I know most people don't know, but they gotta. There are people who still believe that they're getting it today. That it's coming back, and they're still getting it, and they've been getting it, and I'm like, okay, like, what do you want me to say? Like, you're gonna believe what you're gonna believe. Um, and this is part of the system, part of the story, part of the whole movie we're in. You gotta figure out like what's true, what's true for you. you know and also, like, the whole thing is also to show you the varying realities that people can live in simultaneously, because prior to this we all thought we lived in the same reality, but when 2020 came along, we were able to see how obvious it is that multiple people can be living in multiple realities simultaneously, and you're in a completely different reality than the person standing next to you, based on perception, based on belief. There was a time, okay, so early on, this was like, I don't know, day 2 or something of the announcement in 2020. So, like, March, I went to a bank to deposit a check, and I went to the what's it called? The machine, the ATM, next to a lady who was already at a machine. And I didn't think anything of it. I went there. She was like paranoid and jumped back and looked at me like I was, either, covered in dog poo or something. Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you looking at me like this? And she was horrified that I was standing that close to her, and said, "What's your problem?" And she's like, "Oh my god, how dare you? How dare I use the ATM? I don't understand. Like, are you really that terrified?" And I kind of laughed, and then she was horrified that I laughed, and she ran away scared. And then when I left, she went back to the ATM to use it. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So the way people reacted, I reacted a completely different way from the way she reacted. And the you know the dichotomy, the uh, absurdities, the differences become very apparent because of this. And for those people, they believe all of it. They believe all of it. They do all of it. They wear everything. They walk the lines. They stay within the lines. They color within the lines. They behave irrationally and fearfully. And here I am walking around not doing any of it, walking around like nothing's happening, nothing's different, because nothing was different other than this lunacy that was happening. And so, how is it possible, if we're in a normal society, in a normal world where we're all sharing the same reality, how is it possible to have such a split? How is it possible? And it's all down to beliefs and perception, which is the point. They're trying to show you, pick a belief. Joyful. Truth equals authenticity. More and more people realizing it is internal, not external. Yeah, yeah. Bomb. People were scared poopless to here too, and all the time I knew nothing could happen. Yeah, like, it's just so bizarre how um you're walking through life normal, and the person next to you is freaking out. Like, you remember my story from the source store where that couple freaked out, and this was well into it. This was like 2022, 2023, something like that. It was almost like over. And I walk into the store, and it was acceptable to be in the store without a mask. And I walked into the store, and this couple freaked out, and she looked at me. She's like, "Can you step away?" And I looked down. I'm like, "I'm further than 6 feet away. You're wearing a mask, and you're probably double jabbed. Why are you afraid of me? Doesn't make any sense." And then so she's like, I said, "If you feel afraid, you move." And then she was like, "Oh." I'm like, the audacity to think that you can tell me to move because you're afraid when you're the one who's all protected in your little bubble and you want other people to accommodate you. I mean, that's another thing that all of this is showing you. All of this is showing you the difference between people who respond and live off of the mirror and people who know their own truth and don't respond off of the mirror. Because the people who are responding off of the fear are the ones responding off of the mirror. They're expecting the mirror to accommodate them. They're expecting people outside of them to do what they want them to do. They're not tending to their own garden. They're not looking after themselves. I mean, they're all jabbed up and everything, and they're all protected in their bubble. But then they look around at other people and like, you're scaring me. You have to go all the way over there and get away from me because I don't like what you're doing or who you are or how you behave. Like, stop it. And the left that's all they do. All they do is tell you to do things to appease them. It's maddening. All these people, even something as simple as going on somebody's YouTube channel and saying, "Can you not speak that way because it irritates me?" I'm like, I'm not talking about anybody on my channel, but I've seen it on other people's channels. But I'm like, if it irritates you, don't watch the video. Nobody's forcing you to watch the video. If you like what they have to say, read the transcript or something. Like, why are you trying to control other people and how they behave? And this is the madness that we came from, believing that, oh, well, we'll just tell people, please don't do that, and then expect them to accommodate. But then back then it was kind of more rational. It's like, you kind of spit in my face when you said that. Can you try not to do that? Which makes sense. But it's like, when it's something as offensive as just being you, it's a little bit ridiculous to ask someone to accommodate your needs at every turn, which is what the left is doing, or at least the illusion of the left, like the media representation of the left. Maybe not all of the people in it, but some of them. They're all asking the mirror to change for them, asking the external to change for them instead of taking responsibility. They don't take responsibility for themselves. They don't take responsibility for anything that they do, their own lives, their opinions, their beliefs, nothing. That's why they're afraid. That's why they're afraid of the 3D. That's why they're afraid of 2020. Rod. Hello, Rod. Imagine the world the lady at the ATM must live in. I know. I feel bad. I feel bad for these people because it must be terrifying. I mean, can you imagine that there are people today who still are scared of it? Walk around wearing masks in their car by themselves or outside by themselves wearing a mask. I'm like, why are you not thinking this through? But, can you imagine, like, your mind must be consumed by this on a regular basis. How do you do anything else in life? I mean, I guess it sort of becomes normal. So it just takes up space in your head and you don't really think about it. But imagine the freed up space you would have if you stopped doing all of that and you just be. The NPC theory. Um, Is that something specific, or are you just bringing up NPCs in terms of what happened in 2028? To, I mean, yeah, I agree with you. There's NPCs for sure. Hey, Joseph. Hello. Christian, they walk around supermarkets following the arrows. Yeah, exactly. I deliberately went against the arrows on purpose. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna go where I'm gonna go. And there was one time I was in the aisle, and this lady was going the wrong direction, and then she recognized that she was going the wrong way. She kind of go, "Oh my god, I'm going the wrong way." And she apologized to this person who was coming the opposite way, and then she was like turning around, she was all flustered, and I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." I really feel the split has never been more clear. Yes, give the video a thumbs up if you're watching. Appreciate that. Um, yeah, like I think too, the split's never been more clear, but I think too that that's your perception too, because of your like where you are in how you view reality. Um, you're able to see the split, and I know a lot of people do see the split, but they don't. I don't know if they actually recognize what they're seeing, because they see the lunacy and they see like the bizarre things that are happening. But when I talk to people, for the most part, they act like nothing's going on. They act like, pre 2020. They don't seem to be aware. I guess if you prod them, basically, like some people I've talked, like I don't talk to a whole lot of people in the normal world, but the people I do talk to, they just sort of talk about their day-to-day life like nothing's different. They'll mention things that happened in their life like nothing has changed. But in terms of like the split, I don't think they notice that, but they notice that there are crazy people, in their opinion, that people um, don't agree with their perception or their side of things. And so for them, that is something that they notice, but I don't think they notice like a split. I mean, we're aware of the split, so we will notice it. But yeah, I don't know. I have to ask some normies to find out. Anybody speak to any normies? Anybody know what their perspective is on this? Do they see it? Cytobomb, I just saw this stream is about Kirk, and I was going to ask about that. What do you want to ask? Oh, you mean in terms of the NPC stuff? Oh, I see. Hello, P. Appreciate your emoji. 33, watch it. Well, it's 37 now. Yay. Joyful, I met a guy at the dog park this week, and for some reason started talking to him about the Charlotte event. He was really interested and said he didn't have anyone to talk to about this kind of stuff. Really? What did he say? What was his overall perception of it? Hello, Carl. Welcome. And that's one thing that I noticed, though, is like once you find someone who starts talking, and maybe that's what this is going to do. I think that's probably what this is going to do, because if people start talking online, then they'll be more vocal in person because it becomes who you are. So, for example, like when I started talking online when I started my channel in 2017, I didn't have anybody to talk to. It was scary. It was scary because, first of all, the world was a completely different place back then, and there was no one to talk to. And, the stuff that I was into back then, was the fear stuff, the conspiracy stuff. And it's terrifying. Like, you don't want to say anything to people. However, I was fortunate enough to have a lot of people when I was working in background. I had a lot of people around me who were also of the same mindset. They were like openly talking about some seriously weird stuff, reptilians and demons and all of it. It would all come up. Space, NASA, you name it, it came up. And I thought, wow, this is great. I'm very lucky. I'm so lucky that I have all of these people to talk to openly. And, I was very sensitive to see how far can I go, but I was very fortunate. And a lot of people do not have that. Even today, I talk to a lot of people who don't have anyone to talk to. But I think too, like this whole Je suis Charlie thing is going to get people to open up, because now being, what am I, 2017, 2025, 8 years in, I know when to talk and when not to talk. I don't need to talk. I'm comfortable enough to not have to talk. I don't try to put my opinions on anybody. But if somebody like the police officer comes up and talks to me and it's obvious what he knows, I feel out how much he knows, and I will push it just a little bit, Because I said to him, well, 2020 wasn't real. And he's like, oh no, I got it. I'm like, oh, okay. It was like, this is where he draws the line. And I was like, all right, that's fine. Like, that's your belief. I am not going to push you. And so I don't have any need to talk to people in public. I have my outlet here, which is great. But I know that a lot of, there's definitely a lot of bonding and comfort in talking to people about it in real life, for sure. But thankfully, we have social media at least to connect us, which is great. I mean, goodness gracious, if I didn't have this, I'd go crazy. Could you imagine all the people who were aware of this stuff in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s? Power to you, because I don't know how you handled it. I don't know how you managed to deal with it on your own. I don't know how you managed to stay sane. That's hard hard work. So power to you. He said he felt like he met a wizard. Oh, okay. He asked if I was a writer. I had been really thinking about the throat chakra message, and this was my street theater message. That's really cool. That's interesting. Yeah. So he kind of manifested it, huh? Excellent. It's a strange statement for him to say that he felt like he met a wizard. I like that. Did you like that? Did you like being called a wizard? You should, because it means you're magical. So, do you have any other opinions or statements or anything you want to talk about regarding these events, or whatever's going on? What's on your brain? What's bugging you right now? While we're here, my dog's name is Emrys. I don't know, what does Emrys mean? Yes, the whole thing was fake because I see people arguing about rings, etc. Oh yeah. Merlin's Welsh name. Oh, okay. Cool. That's a nice little coincidence. But I could clearly see the bloody bag thingy. Yeah, there's a lot of people who are saying the ring thing. I saw the footage for that too. And hold on a second. My phone's running low. There we go. Yeah. I saw that some people are talking about the F on his shirt disappears when it moves, and the ring goes from, I think, this finger to this finger. So yeah, like there's some people who are analyzing the footage in great detail, and like I say, if it's important to you to know this stuff because you need to know whether it's real or not, and that's fine. But eventually, you'll understand that none of it's real. The ring thing is the AI video enhancer getting it wrong. The original footage was very low res. Okay. One more thing, there was a guy interviewing him before, and he had a shirt that said sniper on it. What, really? Wow, okay. There's also footage I've seen of people pointing out this guy doing hand gestures next to him. I think it was like one of his bodyguards or something. And then another guy was touching his hat or something like that. But, part of that is 2020 hindsight. It's like when you know what's going on and you start looking for clues, you kind of start to retrofit things. Sort of like when you look at the Charlotte subway event, people are like, well, why didn't she say anything? And well, you can also say she didn't say anything. She's terrified. She didn't say anything because she probably couldn't say anything. She couldn't speak. She probably didn't know what was going on. She was in shock. There's a lot of reasons why she didn't say anything, but there's also a lot of other reasons why that could be. But why didn't anybody else in that area ask if she was okay when they literally saw that guy get up and make that motion? Regardless of what was going on, you can tell that he hit her. I mean, goodness gracious. That in itself, you should be asking, are you okay? The man physically left, and you don't even bother to ask if she's okay. But, there is this like psychological phenomenon of, I forget the name of it, something to do with group something, like group paralysis or something. It's like you, as a group, expect other people to do what you normally would do if you were there by yourself. And so because you expect others to do it and they don't do it, then you don't do it. And it's like a psychological phenomenon where people just don't do things they normally would do. But having said that, I think you know where I stand on what that event was. One more thing. Oh, sorry. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I'm interested to see where this goes. I'm interested to see if more people speak out. See, here's the problem with the whole. Okay, so Charlie Kirk was obviously part of the system, right? He's part of the show. He is there to play this part where he goes around asking people questions, questioning both sides, having this open dialogue, trying to, prove me wrong type of thing. And we have someone also in the UK who's doing something similar. Can't remember his name right now, but he's also very politically active, and he has a heavy media presence and a heavy stage presence where he goes around talking to people, getting them all riled up about the political situation right now. And he's getting labeled as extreme right. He's getting put in jail, all sorts of drama around this guy. He's the same sort of character. We had somebody here in Toronto, same sort of character during 2020. There are these characters all over the place that play a role to set this up for this particular. I'm sorry, I can't be more clear, but I hope you're following what I'm saying. But they are put in position to set this up for this particular scenario to play out. So he's playing the role of this outspoken character who asks questions, and he's not political per se, like he's not a politician, but he is political and he is supporting politics, and he's very vocal about it. And it's got, it's in perpetuating the political polarities. And he's trying to also highlight the absurdity of some of the leftist ideas. Now, when someone like this gets taken out, you can also align him with, say, some people are aligning him with JFK. Some people, I mean, you can align him with like a Malcolm. Um, why am I drawing a blank? Malcolm X, or these other vocal political speakers who were publicly taken out for this reason. They end up becoming a martyr or an idol, and people start taking courage to act in their stead. Well, why weren't they speaking out before? Why didn't him speaking give you the courage to speak out before? Why did it take him to die before you have the courage to say something yourself? Which kind of pisses me off. It's like, this stuff like this should really wake you up. Stuff like this should say, what the fuck are you doing sitting there allowing other people to speak up for you? Same with the lady on the subway. Like, she couldn't speak and nobody helped her. It's the same sort of thing. So this should light a fire under your butt to stand up for yourself, speak up for yourself, declare who you are, declare what you want, declare what you believe in, and speak your truth. Because if you don't do it, no one's going to do it for you. And now, you've been waiting for other people to do things that you sitting there watching the news, and you expect other people, oh, the so-and-so should do something about that. The government should do something about that. And it's like, because you don't feel powerful. You don't feel that you can do anything about it, because who am I? Who am I? I'm just some person sitting at home. Well, get on your phone, make a video, and post it to the internet. At least you can do that. But most people don't take action. And you don't take action in your own life. And that's where it matters the most. Take action in your own life. If there's something in your own life that you don't like, take action. Stand up for yourself. Like, everybody is sitting there passively waiting for someone to save them. And that's what everyone was pinning Charlie Kirk, expecting him to be their savior, expecting Donald Trump to be your savior, expecting Kamala Harris to be your savior, because you put your power outside of yourself. You expect these people to do what you don't feel you can do for yourself. And it doesn't even have to have anything to do with like political ideals or, grand productions on the world stage, or anything that is not in your immediate vicinity. That's not important. Speak out about things that directly affect you. Take action in your own life about things that directly affect you. So have the courage to live life the way that you want to live it, and stop expecting other people to do things for you, to change for you, to rearrange the mirror for you. So yeah, it's hard. It is. It's sometimes it's like, it's so confusing because you're so accustomed to going out there and trying to fix things and trying to get other people to do things for you and getting people to accommodate things for you. But if you're constantly doing that, you're not understanding what is really going on. The whole point is to take back your autonomy, take back your authority, and take back your sovereignty. And so hopefully that's what this is going to lead to, because it's the whole point. The whole point is to get it to lead to that, to get you to be active about things that matter to you. Tommy Robinson. Yeah, that's the dude. Thank you, Zop. Where do you think those people go? Another country, or maybe some part of the earth we know nothing about? Who knows? Maybe they do check out. Maybe they're just like, I'm done with this game. I'm like, yeah. But like, they could go anywhere. They could literally have like a hidden island or something. It doesn't really matter. There could be, they're the ones who control the map. They're the ones who tell us where everything is. There could be literally a huge continent somewhere that we don't know about because they didn't put it on the map. and they are all living on this huge continent, and they pop in when they need to do a role and then they pop back out again. I don't know. I'm making it up, but it's possible. We don't know. We don't know what they have control over all of that. So why wouldn't there be a whole continent or a whole island or a whole country? They control where the planes fly, they control what we know through maps and GPS and everything. So I wouldn't put it past them if there's a huge island or a huge continent where they all live and they're laughing and they're like, you know, it's like it's time for them to wake up. All right, who's up next? We need some crisis actors over there. We got a little city to populate for about 5 years. Who wants to go? And so, a little handful of like B class elites or D class elites get on a plane, fly out to the United States, populate a little town. They get rigged up with a nice house, and then they get called into action. It's like, all right, great. Now's your time. You got to do this. And then you can go home. and then they wrap it all up, shut down the town, send them back to the island. Who knows? I like the idea though. It's pretty funny. Yeah, MLK. Thank you. Got milk? MLK. Yeah. He's being compared to Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah, see? Martin Luther King Jr., MLK, got milk. And MLK is the monarch butterfly, the fornix. Do you see a parallel of these events with Trump's appearance of having a stroke? Strokes affecting speech, throat chakra. There's no coincidence. It could be. I didn't know he had a stroke. I heard that he had a bruise on his hand and he disappeared for a few days and people were making out that he died and all that stuff, but I didn't know he had a stroke. But there's also the video footage of him talking about Charlie Kirk. They're saying is AI, but nobody said anything about the Irina video that he made, whether that's AI. Not that I'm aware of. Rumors of his death were greatly exaggerated. It's exactly. Yeah. I don't know. It was pretty funny. My sister called me up and she's like, "Oh, have you heard? Like the internet's buzzing with this news that DJT is dead." I'm like, "Who's DJT? What are you talking about?" And I'm thinking this is some sort of musician. And I'm like, why is this like a big deal? Like, what? Since when are you down with DJs? I don't understand. And then she's like, Donald Trump. I'm like, oh, okay. You call him DJT. So, yeah, I had to take a look and I'm like, no, there's nothing to verify that. And so she's like, oh, okay. So, yeah, I would imagine that we're probably going to get a lot more of this. We're probably going to get a lot more. I've noticed that we're already getting a lot more confusing, fakery news that is not real. What else I noticed, which I found distasteful, is people are making AI versions of the subway attack as alternative realities of what could have happened. If it was, that's kind of distasteful. But what I think is going on there is showing parallel universes, alternate possibilities, but at the same time, AI and how AI can be a factor in some of this stuff. But anyhow, yeah. Any final words on this or anything else you want to talk about? If not, I'm going to wrap this up. But I've really enjoyed talking to you guys. It's been nice to connect again. Just so you know, I don't know if you noticed, but I've been putting out videos regularly, some little shorter ones and some, about 10-minute ones. and little decodes, like mini decodes and stuff. And also, I have opened up coaching if you're interested in coaching. And the Labyrinth is there for a full immersion ascension process. And then there's also, I've had opened up workshops for decoding movies together. And I'm considering opening up another one if that's of interest to you. I'm thinking of maybe doing it in the middle of the week instead of the weekend, and just like a 1-day session for a couple hours. So this would be a little bit different. It'd be more casual. And I was thinking of doing Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And so just meeting up casually to decode and talk about Ferris Bueller's Day Off from an esoteric perspective. And it's very eye-opening. And especially when you have a collaborative group of people with their shared differing perspectives, because everybody picks up on different things. And what decoding does for you is allows you to change your perception in real time. And that opens up and makes further connections. And so you remember things from your past, and you remember also a lot of other truths, and it opens up a whole new world and a whole new way of seeing the world, which is directly related to you and how you see your own life. So yeah, let me know if you're interested in that, and I'll set that up. So yeah, I guess there's no more comments, so I'm going to end it here. But thank you so much for participating in this live chat. Really great comments in the chat. I really appreciate your perspective on this event and hope you enjoyed it. So if you haven't already, give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you soon. Bye, everybody.